As the United States moves closer to its 250th birthday next year, we continue our We the People series in the meantime. Tonight, we're highlighting the lost towns of the Quabbin Valley. Nearly 100 years ago in Central Mass, work began on a project to supply the growing population of Boston with drinking water. And as our Chris Pisano reports, while Boston eventually gained the Quabbin Reservoir, thousands of people lost their homes and properties in the process.
On a beautiful day like this, with the sun sparkling off the Quabbin, it's easy to forget that this is a relatively young reservoir, built back in the 1930s to supply the city of Boston with drinking water. It's also easy to forget that underneath that water lies the remains of 4 Massachusetts towns.
In the early 20th century, the Swift River Valley was home to thousands of people from the towns of Dana, Enfield, Greenwich, and yes, that is the correct pronunciation, and Prescott. But as Judith McIntosh, president of the Swift River Valley Historical Society, explains, that all changed beginning in the late 1920s when the state authorized the construction of the reservoir, eventually inundating the area with some 400 billion gallons of water.
The engineers saw the valley, realized it was a good natural place to flood. So what they did was they dammed the end of it with the Windsor Dam, because of the engineers, of course, then named the architecture after themselves, the Windsor Dam and the Goodnoe Dike, and then as the Swift River came in, it just filled up the valley.
It took about 7 years for the 3 branches of the Swift River to fill up the valley from 1939 to 1946 and create what we have today, one of the largest unfiltered water supplies in the entire country. Still, its creation meant destruction for thousands, their houses demolished, their towns erased. At the time, the phrase "all must leave" resounded through the area, and indeed, everyone was forced out. Some 2,500 people, among them John Swan's family, who'd first settled the area back in the 1700s.
My great-grandfather moved to Athol, and he was fined for not getting out of the Quabbin because he just wasn't going to go. So I guess he was fined a certain amount of money for not getting out. So he just wasn't the same person after it happened.
Even the dead were moved, more than 7,000 bodies exhumed and reinterred on higher ground. The memory of that difficult time is still etched deeply in this area, particularly in the small town of New Salem, where over time, household goods, personal items, and family heirlooms, all saved from the flooding, eventually made their way here to the Swift River Historical Society.
People were displaced to provide a city with water. I think that needs to be memorialized, that needs to be remembered, and the hardships of the people need to be remembered, that they will never be able to go back to the place where they were born.
Instead, these buildings, the Whitaker Clary House, the Prescott Church Museum, and Carriage Shed, display what's left, a glimpse into the life of each of the lost villages.
We're going to be entering into the Enfield room, and Enfield was the largest of the 4 towns that was disincorporated.
Enfield also hosted the farewell ball on the very night before everyone had to leave, a somber occasion as the clock ticked towards midnight, symbolizing the end of the 4 towns as communities. This original dance card marking that date, April 27th, 1938.
It was a very, very sad time. The town hall was filled to overflowing. People were in the streets. They came dressed in their finest. They cried, they danced, they celebrated the ending of their town.
And in a way, so too does the museum. Not just preserving the artifacts of the towns underneath the Quabbin, but also preserving their memories. Perhaps best expressed by Eleanor Griswold Schmidt, who lost her hometown of Prescott when she was in her mid-20s and eventually helped found the Swift River Historical Society. "Now I have 2 beauties," she said, "one to remember and one to enjoy."